They say wise men speak because they have something to say.
Yeah, they also say fools speak because they have to say something.
Well,
here we are.
Yeah, we bit that one.
Well.
Relax. Yeah, welcome back to The Gambler and the Guardian. We're back for another episode. I'm Nathan, also known as the Guardian. The Guardian, that's me, right? This is my brother.
I'm Anthony, also known as the Gambler.
Yep, we want to thank you guys for coming and sitting with us again today in our room, having this open dialogue with us. We got some really interesting topics to talk about today. Anthony, I don't know if you want to give it a start here.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody's seen the news, seen viral clips, all talking about the United Healthcare CEO was unalived, and showing that this dude, he was the perpetrator. And so we want to play a little clip talking about it, and then we'll have some insight and kind of our thoughts on it. So this was back when they were searching for him.
Yeah, obviously he's since been apprehended.
Take the time to actually write on the shell casings indicates not only premeditation, but also a deeply personal type killing. And those words, deny, depose, defend, those are words often associated with the insurance industry.
Yep, that's real.
This does not appear to be a random act of violence. It appears the suspect was lying in wait for several minutes.
Yep, lots of threats. This is just bringing you up to speed on all the information that's out there.
Yeah, we're sure mostly everybody kind of knows what's going on, but for those who don't, we just want to, like he said, bring you up to speed real quick. There's so much within this. One of the things that stuck out to me was that the writing on the bullets, right? With doing something like that, I don't know, maybe see something between the lines. I don't know, but it looks to me that when that message that's a message, right? Like, that's like, he already kind of had being caught on his mind, I think, when doing something like this. Like, I don't think somebody would do something like this and think they weren't going to get caught. I think the message was his deal, right?
Yeah, so for me, I definitely think he plans to be a catalyst to something bigger. He says, the message that he wrote on there was deny, defend, depose. And that's a clear message that he's targeting the words of the insurance company and how they go through and look at insurance claims.
Well, let me ask you something. You actually worked in the insurance industry for a substantial amount of time. You're quite knowledgeable of the insurance industry. Can you shed a little bit of light on how it works? Other than us paying an insurance company to help us to get medical care from a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. How does that system work?
Yeah, so what I would say first is this is a very complicated system. It's huge. Lots of people, lots of big companies are a part of the insurance industry. For me, I was a salesperson. I was an agency owner. I worked for one of the largest individual medical insurance producers in the country. I was recruited, and then I started opening up agencies. At one point, I had about 200 agents working underneath me.
Wow.
We did upwards of 10,000 policies. Our role was selling literally health insurance, and one of our main carriers was United Healthcare.
Whoa, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. One of the main carriers was United Healthcare.
That's
right?
crazy.
There was many carriers. I was a broker, is what it's called. So just like a mortgage broker, you have multiple banks that you go to sell their loans. I was an insurance broker, so I had multiple insurance carriers that we'd use to sell their policies, whichever policy match the fit of our potential client, right? And all these policies are different, and so we had to go through and see the needs of the client and then determine which one best suits them, and then also the price of that policy. I was in the insurance industry prior to Obamacare. In fact, when Obamacare came about, I got out of the insurance industry and wrote my book and got into the real estate industry. It just changed the industry so much. And also I had some different things that happened that kind of made me, like, my stomach hurt and didn't feel that this was the right industry.
Like what?
Yeah, so this actually relates to this topic quite a bit.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I got this client, and he was a local business owner in the community. I operated my insurance agency out of Apollo Beach, Florida. It's just south of Tampa. And this gentleman, I don't want to say his name, but he was a funeral home director and owner. So he owned a funeral home, and he and his family had owned it for somewhat like 40 years. And kind of a pillar in the community. I met him through networking events and the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, so...
Official guy.
Yeah, official guy. I mean, this guy was awesome. I took a liking to him. He also was supportive of me getting started in a new community and launching my business, you know? And so he asked, hey, can you see if you could help me with my insurance? And I remember one of the things you do when you're supporting a new client in the insurance industry is first you look to see what they currently have. Because there's an aspect of insurance where if you have a policy that is really good,
If it makes sense, if it ain't broke.
and you're locked in,
Right.
and you, let's say you got a pre-existing condition at that time, a pre-existing condition would...
Make it more difficult for you to get something new.
Yes, and in fact, what they do is they put what's called a rider on it. So let's say, for instance, you had a knee injury and you had to get surgery like you've had, right? And then you went to get a new policy. They'd say, we'll cover you, but we're not covering your right knee because you had an injury to that right knee and we're not taking on that liability, right? So in going through there's a process that's called underwriting. Just like the mortgage industry where you go through and you see someone's credit worthiness, their income, their stuff like that. This is where the underwriters of medical insurance companies go through and look at the insurability of the potential client, meaning they look at all your health records to see what has happened in the past that might potentially lead to a huge claim coming later that the insurance company, what they're trying to do is limit their exposure, right? So going back to my story, this gentleman, he had a policy and it was, I forget the name of the company, but I remember it was called the Schedule of Benefits Plan. And a Schedule of Benefits Plan is a plan where they say, it's similar to dental insurance, where we'll pay up to $2,000 for this specific thing.
Okay.
We'll pay up to $5,000 on this specific thing. And they just have literally a schedule of what they're willing to pay for specific occurrences. These plans are the worst kind of plans you could get. They limit the potential exposure of the insurance carrier. They are the cheapest plans that you could get for that very reason.
What do you mean they limit the potential exposure to the carrier?
Yeah, because when you have a maximum out of pocket based on this schedule of benefits for a specific occurrence, let's say, for instance, if you have a heart attack, they'll pay up to $50,000. Okay. Well, $50,000 seems like a lot of money until you have a heart attack and you're in intensive care and the total bill comes out to be $250,000.
Yeah.
If you have that schedule of benefits, what they'll do is they'll say, well, we had the deal with you. It's all a contract. This is all paperwork that says we're willing to do X if Y happens, right? Wow. So in that occurrence, the client they'd get $50,000 paid for, but they'd still owe $200,000 in bills. So the situation that happened with this client that I had, I signed him up, a traditional sign up. When we went through all the medical questions, there's a ton of medical questions that you answer. This is pre-Obamacare, so you had to qualify medically in order to get the plan. And then it goes through underwriting where the insurance company, they look at it and they look at their records to see if what they're saying is accurate. Mm-hmm. And if they could see anything that they find to ask questions for or deny them, or even put a rider on a specific part of your body or something that may happen in the future based on what they found. Mm-hmm. In this situation, this client did not get any riders. He was accepted fully. The plan itself was, I believe it was a $2 million max out-of-pocket plan for the insurance company, which is a large maximum, right? I believe the plan had a $5,000 deductible and 100% covered by the insurance company afterwards. Now, compared to a schedule of benefits company, where they have specific occurrences that can have a total out-of-pocket of each occurrence as a certain thing, this was a plan that covered everything, right? So if, for instance, what happened to the client ended up having cancer. And the type of cancer he had, it was very expensive to go through. And it cost $800,000, right? So about a year and a half into the policy, he started going in to get cared for. And the bills started piling up. Well, he has this insurance policy that has a $2 million maximum policy limit, which he has, plenty to go. He only had to pay $5,000 out of pocket to get to 100% covered, right? So, year and a half later, after now he's in remission, saved his life, right?
Yeah, doing better.
Yeah, he's doing better. I get summoned to go and take part in a mediation where there is this client there with his attorney. There's the insurance company, which at the time was Assurant Health, is who he took the policy out for. And then it was the attorney given to me for my errors and omissions insurance. Every insurance agent has to get an errors and omissions insurance policy. What this is for, this is, we're just salespeople. These insurance agents that you go to, they're just salespeople. They are knowledgeable in what the insurance policies cover and don't, and their job is support you as a client to determine what your needs are, what is potentially possible that you may need, and then also show you how much the price difference is based on the type of policy you're looking to have in force, right? So now I'm sitting there in this room, and this is the first time that I've had any part in a legal battle at all. It's pretty intimidating. There's, a big conference table. We're all sitting around, multiple attorneys. Here's my client. They told me coming in, I first met with the appointed attorney that was given to me from my insurance errors and omissions, right? And they basically said, you don't say anything. You're kind of here on a formality. I'm like, okay. So I'm watching what's happening, and this client is pleading, well, his attorney and him are pleading with the insurance carrier's attorneys, and there's a couple of them there. And they're saying why the insurance carrier must pay the $800,000. And what ensues is the insurance carrier basically saying, we're not responsible. And then the mediator says to all of us, okay, we're all going to go in our respective rooms. So everybody left that area where we're all sitting around the table together, and we all went into our own little conference rooms. So I'm sitting there with my attorney, and my attorney says, okay, we're just going to wait until we hear what's happening. He gives me an update, and he goes, okay, Assurant Health has offered them $300,000 to settle this. Okay, time goes by. They declined the $300,000. Okay, so I mean, time is just ticking here. It's about an hour in. Okay, Assurant Health has offered them $400,000, but they want you to pay $50,000. And I'm like, bro, what did I have anything to do with this? I just sold the policy.
I'm just an employee.
Well, I'm not an employee.
No?
No, I'm a...
This is when you owned the company?
Yeah, I own my own brokerage.
So essentially you were an affiliate of United Health.
Yes, in this case, it was Assurant Health, not United Health. That was the insurance carrier.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, in that case.
Yeah, in this case. But this goes perfectly into place with what Mangione is speaking of relative to claims, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, I am forced with a decision. Have my E&O carrier pay $50,000 towards the $800,000. The insurance carrier, Assurant Health, would pay $500,000, and this will all be settled. And it comes down to a decision on my end, where the client is willing to accept $500,000 from Assurant Health and $50,000 from my insurance, errors and omissions insurance, if I say yes. And I'm sitting there talking to this insurance agent, or I'm sorry, not the agent, the lawyer for the errors and omissions insurance. And I'm saying, I didn't do anything wrong. I just did exactly what was in the rules. I asked all the questions properly. They're just trying to deny this claim, but it seems like the claim is viable. Why should anything come out of my end, and how negatively does this affect me as an agent showing that this happened? And the lawyer assured me this doesn't have any negative things on you. Maybe we should have a call with the higher ups in the errors and omissions insurance company that I work
it
with.
seems to me that you're saying, like, that this is like layers upon layers upon layers.
It is, 100%. So what ends up happening is I get on the call with some higher up for this errors and omissions company. The attorney intros us, says this is the deal that's on hand. This person knew about what we were doing. So he had whatever was in front of him to speak to me about it, and basically told me, he said, Anthony, I understand that you did everything by the book, and we understand that. This won't affect you in a negative way. However, if you choose to say no, us as an errors and omissions insurance company could potentially be out $800,000. So we are wanting you to say yes.
But we'll take care of it.
We'll take care of the $50,000.
Wow.
Well, that's why I have the insurance. It's their job to cover this, right?
Yeah.
If I get sued, it's on them, right? So for them, because of the risk was 16 times higher, if I said no, they said, we want you to say yes. And I was basically forced to say, yes, pay this guy, even though I did no wrongdoing. It had nothing to do with me. I was forced to take the deal. So in the end, the client was not made whole. He got $550,000 instead of the $800,000.
Well, in many cases, you know, and that's like a good outcome, right?
That's a good outcome.
Like in many cases, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's many times where, you know, there's all types of different types of legal proceedings in which people cannot afford representation. And then, you know, like you're in a bad medical situation, you get screwed over by an insurance company, you have no money for legal representation. It's like your butt is just out in the wind at that point. You know what I mean? And that seems like, it seems to be the crux of this matter with this kid.
Yeah, this is at the base of what he's saying. And when we get to his manifesto, we'll be able to speak more about this.
Before we do get to his manifesto, though, like in the report, they had said that he was there a few minutes prior to the crime. So that indicates to me that either there's some type of witnesses that saw him there, or there's some type of CCTV footage, right? We know that there's CCTV footage.
Yeah, we've all seen that.
But they also said that maybe this is just me being me, but they said that the kid, that they had his fingerprints at the scene of the crime, which struck me to be as odd because
he was wearing gloves.
he was wearing gloves when he committed the crime. I mean, you know, who knows? He was there for a few minutes. He could have been there and then all of a sudden just been like, got ready. But like this is not that kind of crime. It seems to be, especially with this kid. This kid seems to be
very smart.
Well, not just smart, very well thought out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like in his
Very
crime.
precision. He literally had a silencer on his gun.
Yeah. So it looks that I'm a little skeptical of the reports that are coming back as of right now. We're not really going to know what's going on with this situation, or at least what we'll be told is going on with this situation until he goes to court, because this one stinks, man.
Yeah.
This one stinks. It doesn't smell right. I don't know. Even his manifesto is just, you know, there's some strange things in it as well.
You know, let's play the second clip that we have of when he arrives at court.
Excuse me.
And completely out of touch and insult the intelligence of the American people.
One more time.
Completely out of touch and insult the intelligence of the American people.
It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
And its living experience. So basically he's saying, like, look, we already know what's going on. We're going through it every day.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are like, you know, we know what's going on. Like, there's a lot of this, you know, a lot of different subjects right now that things are happening that is bringing an awakening to the people. And, you know, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great that it's happening. You know, it's great for the growth of society as a whole, but it brings me concern.
Yeah, so for me, I believe in truth. I believe in your word, right? And what I'm seeing is happening is there's some people who are standing up against companies, people, platforms that you can't stand up against because they will shut you down.
Without naming any specific event, but I recall prior to the last election of former president, now President-elect Donald Trump, there seemed to have been an awakening of the people all around the world. People were taking to the streets for all types of reasons, man, and standing up for their rights. Like in France, that's when they like went crazy in the streets. Thousands and thousands of people were out there with those yellow vests on. And again, my concern is that these times occur, and there's some people up high, man, that don't like awakening of people. And my concern is that there's going to be another event similar to, if not something like the one that occurred in that time period, that, you know, will just take us more time, just send us around and take us more time to get somewhere, you know, just more delay on our development as a culture, as a whole, as a people as a whole, and all of these things. But
yeah, you know, what I'd like to get to, I'd like to start reading Luigi Mangione's manifesto.
Please.
Okay? And many of you may have seen his pieces of his manifesto that shows up in different news briefings or Instagram videos and all this. But what we want to do, today's episode is proudly sponsored by Zenergy, an exquisite energy supplement designed to nourish both body and mind. Zenergy combines the tranquil, stress-relieving benefits of kava with the focused, energizing properties of kratom extract. This refined fusion provides a smooth, sustained energy that calms the mind while sharpening your focus. Zenergy offers an unparalleled experience of clarity and poise. Go to drinkzenergy.com, drinkxnergy.com. We want to read exactly, word for word, what it says in his manifesto.
Non-selectively.
Okay? So, he says, it's easy to quickly and thoughtlessly write this off as the manifesto of a lunatic in order to avoid facing some uncomfortable problems it identifies. But it's simply impossible to ignore how prescient many of his predictions about modern society turned out. He was a violent individual, rightfully imprisoned, who maimed innocent people, while these actions tend to be characterized as those of a crazy Luddite. However, they are more accurately seen as those of an extreme political revolutionary. Now, who he's talking about is a paper written by Theodore John Kaczynski, and this is Industrial Society and Its Future.
Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Ted Kaczynski, isn't that the Unabomber?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So that's who he's talking about when he says that first paragraph, right?
I just caught that. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's talking about the Unabomber. So a take I found online that I think is interesting had the balls to recognize that peaceful protest has gotten us absolutely nowhere. And at the end of the day, he's probably right. Oil barons hasn't listened to any environmentalists, but they feared him. When all other forms of communication fail, violence is necessary to survive. You may not like his methods, but to see things from his perspective is not terrorism, it's war and revolution. Fossil fuel companies actively suppress anything that stands in their way, and within a generation or two, it will begin costing human lives by greater and greater magnitudes until the Earth is just a flaming ball orbiting third from the sun. Peaceful protest is outright ignored. Economic protest isn't possible in the current system, so how long until we recognize that violence against those who lead us to such destruction is justified as self-defense? Whoa. So he's basically saying that peaceful protests like Gandhi did, right, doesn't work anymore. If you want to use economic protest by not putting your dollars there, he's saying that it's not capable of working to the level. It's not enough. And he's saying the only way to spark change is through violence. He says these companies don't care about you or your kids or your grandkids. They have zero qualms about burning down the planet for a buck. So why should we have any qualms about burning them down to survive? He says, we're animals just like everything else on this planet, except we've forgotten the law of the jungle and bend over for our overlords when any other animal would recognize the threat and fight to the death for their survival. He quoted, "Violence never solved anything" is a statement uttered by cowards and predators. So that's his manifesto.
Man, look, man. I'm going to say this. Got to be careful with this, what I'm about to say right now.
Yeah, you seem all bottled up here, man.
Yeah, because I don't believe his views to be so extreme. If you look at the history of the United States, even if we're even looking at like, we're not even talking about this type of stuff, right? We're talking about, which this is, I guess. Medical care is a basic human right.
Yeah.
Okay? Medical care is a basic human right. It's not in history, only in the United States in history, when people take to the streets with violence, does good change come about. The civil rights movement being one of those things, of which it was a shared model. Some was violent, some was peaceful, but that's how America is. Unfortunately,
it's not just America, Nate.
Yeah, everywhere, right? Violent revolution.
Everywhere. There, when a tyrannical government got too strong, people stood up against it, right? When a leader was off base.
I don't even know if that's, dude, I'm going to be honest with you. At this stage in the game, like, I feel like there's so much involvement of our government in coups in other countries and stuff. Like I don't even know when the people are really rising up against a tyrant. Like, I don't really, like, it's hard to decipher what the truth is about what's going on in the other country, because, our media is politicized and weaponized and being used to propagandize us into thinking that this is what's going on over there, so we're okay with whatever occurrence happens that we had some type of influence with.
Yeah, it's really tough for me too, man. For me, there's an aspect of seeing his manifesto, just reading that to our listeners. It was hard to read because, man, I'm anti-violence, Yeah, I've known you since I was 10 years old. I've never seen you get into an intense argument with somebody, let alone a fight. Yeah. Well, you haven't seen me around my brother that much.
That's another story.
Shout out to Nick Biaggi.
Shout out Nick Biaggi.
So that being said, as I read this and I think about my involvement in the insurance industry and selling all these policies and talking to clients, the reason that I got out of the insurance industry, because, man, after you have 10,000 clients, guess when they call you? When the insurance company decides to not pay a claim, and they've went through every single way possible to have something be worked out because they're about to lose their house, they're losing everything they have because their life was saved by this procedure that was done, and now financially they're being put through it again, they call you the insurance company or the insurance agent. They've already called the insurance company. They've already dealt with a ton of underwriters. They've already talked to attorneys, and they're calling you the insurance agent to go as the last straw, like, hey, maybe you could do something. So at some stage, it got to where I'm in this industry, I'm making a ton of money because I was pretty good at it. And I was a leader amongst people, right? So I trained people up. A lot of these people are very, very successful to the tune of tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in the insurance industry.
Top 1 percentile.
Yeah, but what I know about the top 1 percentile, it's a lot smaller than you think, man. Yeah. But that being said, for me, my heart could not handle the thought of me making all this money selling these policies, knowing what's going to happen if something really goes wrong and they try to max out that policy at $2 million, the insurance company is going to decline it.
Just a matter of when.
And then they're going to be calling me, and I'm going to have to deal with those feelings. I'm an empath. You know this about me. I love people. I care about people. So hearing that stuff and wanting to help them and then getting the door shut in my face, although I'm trying to help, I was able to help a few get stuff done that they couldn't get done just because I somehow had some kind of pull because I sold so many policies and was connected to the #1 insurance producer in the country, right? So For me, it was too much. I had to get out of that industry because I didn't feel good about it. I was making money. And, if I stayed in that industry right now, money would not be a problem at all. That being said, I couldn't live with myself. Everybody has a different way of sleeping at night. Some people could go steal and rob somebody.
This is as wrong as two left shoes. There's no rationalizing this.
I will say there's other people that are in the insurance industry, and the way that they look at it, they say, the carrier does what the carrier does. I can't control that. But what I've done is get somebody an insurance policy that's the best price and the best coverage that they can afford, right? So I could understand them being able to sleep at night. For them, for me, it was just too much.
I don't encourage what Luigi Mangione did, but what I want to say is sometimes it's necessary for things to happen to bring awareness to certain things, to shed light on them, because this is something that has been stewing and brewing for far too long, and there's far too many people that I've heard over time that have been impacted by this in a negative way. And don't take this the wrong way when I say this, right? Like the word finally somebody did something that is going to bring light.
Yeah, well,
and I will say this real quick. It's my biggest sympathies and condolences to the families of this man who was unalived. At the end of the day, he was a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you get to a certain level in certain industries, and you have the ability to write the book, when you have the ability to set the rules, and you have the ability to say, hey, I'm going to make things more difficult, or I'm going to make things easier for the people.
Yeah.
I think something like this happening hopefully will make people think a little bit more about the type of decisions that they're making and the impacts that they're going to have on the masses.
Yeah, so to just let you know my thoughts on that is, people are people, and companies, they operate for different reasons. United Healthcare, although you'll see their commercials and they're helping people and all this stuff, that shit's all fake. They're in it to make money. It was the most profitable insurance carrier out of all of them. So to the tune of last year, something like $30-something billion. It's all very connected. How they make all their money. They're vertically integrated to the systems that work with the hospitals and all this stuff. They have their doctors' networks that are part of their network, so they could, control who gets to see who. And so this is a really big thing. I for the sake of the podcast, I think we should leave it as it is here. I was just
gonna say that because this guy's situation is just starting for him. It's not over. And we're going to be coming back and revisiting this. And I can tell by the way you're talking about it that there's a lot more, it looks like, that you have to say about this.
Yeah, but this is also a scary thing, this is something where, copycats are being talked about, right? So they're saying, Mangione's put away, but now because this is out there, like you said, he may be the spark of something bigger in a way to show that this is not okay. People are celebrating him.
Yeah, well, there was actually a lady a couple days ago who was arrested because she was on the phone with an insurance company, and she was dissatisfied with the outcome of her phone call, and she said something along the lines of, "You guys are next." Yeah. And they arrested her.
Yeah, I'm sure these things happen more than were known. Just being an insurance agent, I've been cussed at, sworn at, or threatened when I literally all I am is the guy to take your information to put it into the policy that they're offering. That's all I am. But people are that, their lives. It's their lives. When you're in charge of somebody's health, when you're the person that they speak to related to their health and maybe even their life, if you sell life insurance like I did, this is it's something very important to people for good reason.
I think the next move that the government makes in this situation is going to determine a lot. It's going to say a lot, too, about where they stand. Because they can go and make more protections for these types of figures in the insurance industry.
Yep.
And because like you said, they can go and make more protections for these types of figures in the insurance industry.
Yep.
And because like you said, these people get threatened every day, and I'm sure on the phone they were getting threatened every day prior to this happening forever.
Oh, it's happened.
Now,
believe me,
people are making threats and going to jail.
Yeah.
So is this a thing that is going to persist? Is it going to be enhanced? Is this something that they're going to build law around? This is something to keep an eye open for?
Yeah, we're going to keep touching back
because
to this.
that's going to tell us where the government stands in this. Like, we already know. The fact of the matter is they need to install more protections for us, the people, against these vampires, because this is what these people are. They're bloodsuckers, man.
It's all tied together, man. I mean, just to put something very quick on it, and then we can move out, is the same big companies that are the majority ownership in United Healthcare and all these healthcare insurance companies are the same ones that also own the food companies.
Oh, really?
The same ones that own the hospitals, same ones that own the banks, same ones that own every piece. So
why is it not a monopoly when they do stuff like that?
Well, because I don't know, man. This is a bigger subject that we get into down the road.
I know.
And it's a subject that lots of people have put out there and talked about, putting it out so people would see, but it still doesn't stop my elders from holding stock in BlackRock or Vanguard or State Street that are the ones that own everything. So because they're looking at it going, I'm good, I'm making a 14% return. I'm happy. Cool. Well, you don't know who you just sold out. Let's move on to our next thing, which is some weather related stuff. Like,
I was in my house. I think I was in my man cave, and suddenly I had this blaring alert on my phone.
Oh.
And I looked down, and for the first time in my life, I'm from California. I lived in out of Miami, Florida, South Florida for 12 years. First time in my life I've ever received a tsunami warning alert.
Yeah.
And so I guess there was an earthquake up in off the coast of somewhere in Northern California, maybe Humboldt area or somewhere up there.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were thinking it was going to be a tsunami?
They were thinking there was going to be a tsunami.
Yeah.
Bugged out.
Well, this first clip, let's play this clip.
Parts of California were hammered by severe storms yesterday. A tornado touched down in the town of Scotts Valley. That's about an hour south of San Francisco. Yes, San Francisco.
Right down the
It was
road.
captured on this surveillance video from a local bar and grill. You can see it there, and you can see the damage left behind. Trees snapped in half, cars damaged by flying and falling debris. Police say 5 people were hurt. Some residents say they're just happy they lived through it.
To be honest with you, I thought this could be the end of my life.
Ooh.
It was that strong.
I heard someone scream, "There's a tornado," so I ran out to the window to see, and there were things flying around.
That's not smart, by the way.
Cars making a bunch of noises.
So that's outside San Francisco, but nearby downtown San Francisco experienced its first tornado warning.
That's what
in
you're talking about.
recorded history. The National Weather Service says ultimately it did not find evidence a tornado actually touched down, attributing much of the damage from that storm to straight line winds of up to 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, there's actually both a tornado warning and a tsunami warning.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that don't live in California, we don't have tornadoes in California.
Yeah, we have earthquakes.
This is non-existent.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of environmental things that are happening that we've seen this year that are absolutely strange. One of them is that they're catching bluefin tuna outside of the Golden Gate.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were supposed to be on the East Coast.
Primarily,
Yeah.
from what I know. But yeah, they're out there, and so right now it's crab season in the Bay Area, and right now nobody's catching crab. Usually we're
Oh yeah.
we have tons of them.
Yeah.
Right now nobody's catching crab. I believe it might have something to do with the temperature of the water.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know what the, there's impacts of the climate, with us being here and all these other things that are happening on an industrial level. There is impact. So, I don't know. This is just off topic, but I don't think people really understand that the possibilities of the weather change. Right? There was a time many years ago in Montana where the weather changed 100 degrees in one day in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
And it's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, we'll speak on that. Let's play this second clip that we have here.
A whole lot of questions tonight after a tsunami warning in Northern California ordered millions to flee the coast yesterday. Well, that turned out to be a false alarm. So we wondered just how accurate are these alerts and what would happen here?
Good question.
We got one in Southern California. Let's go to KCAL News reporter Tom Waite live in Marina Del Rey. Tom, what did you find out?
Well, Jasmine, the answer is pretty complicated, but experts say that they think that local officials did the right thing because they just didn't have a ton of information when the earthquake happened. But in terms of what would happen here if we got one of those alerts, well, just picture being in Friday traffic like we were tonight on the 405. It's gridlock. It's so packed you can't get anywhere. So what would happen if you got a tsunami alert while you're sitting on the 405 on a Friday night? Friday night traffic on the 405, total gridlock. Imagine getting a text with a tsunami warning telling you to evacuate while you're trapped in this. If you think it can't happen, just rewind 24 hours. Check out this tweet from Berkeley in Northern California after Thursday's massive 7.0 quake off the coast. The city of Berkeley has issued an evacuation order due to a tsunami coming to West Berkeley. Evacuate now. People in the tsunami zone are in immediate danger.
Because of the traffic here, you just imagine that everybody wants to rush out.
Shirok Saleh lives very close to the coast. We asked him what he thinks would happen if an evacuation warning went out in LA during Friday traffic.
What will happen?
On a Friday night, you can't even get down the 405.
Yeah, man. It's already traffic everywhere.
On a regular day.
Yeah.
Was Cape Mendocino. It's a hatchery of the most abundant large earthquakes.
Hey, you could cut
anywhere
that,
in
John.
California.
It's a transform, a strike slip fault, just like the San
So,
Andreas.
for me,
This is offshore.
This kind of thing
This went
happening,
on an extension of the
and they're
San
sending out all these warnings. There's an aspect of, hey, yeah, you should let me know that something's about to happen. There's the other side of it that is, oh yeah, you let everybody know that something's going to happen. All of a sudden, is wide chaos going to happen?
You would think that, but it's my belief, because I've been in quite a few situations where where stuff hits the fan, and you'd be surprised that there's a larger portion of people that will actually freeze up and not do anything. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be panic.
For the first,
because we have volume, right? There's a ton of people. You know what I mean? So you're going to see it, but you'll be surprised at the volume of people that will just be scared in their houses.
Oh yeah.
There's some people like that. If
Understood.
somebody comes into your house, that's gonna hide in the closet.
Yeah.
And,
I'm one of them.
And then there's other people that are going to confront them and meet them with whatever they want to meet them with. So
So the big questions are, is it these warnings come out, what are you supposed to do? And for most people, this didn't even happen. It was a fake warning, right? It was a warning that they had a reason to do it, but in the end, the tornado didn't happen, and in the end, the tsunami didn't happen.
The tornado that did happen, to me, was scarier than the tsunami thing because, you know, I don't know. I'll have to look up and see like what the history is of tsunamis where we live.
Yeah.
But
Not
never
much.
seen a tsunami.
No.
You know, I've seen a bunch of earthquakes.
Yep.
Never seen a tsunami. But one time I was in a tornado. And it's scarier than anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been in hurricanes.
Nobody talked. Yeah, I've been in countless hurricanes.
Yeah,
more
me
than I
too.
can count. But
that's
I
not that bad.
didn't hear anybody talk about the sound of the tornado. To me, that's the scariest thing. This sounds like a train is on top of you.
Oh, yeah.
Power, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So, talking about hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, you know, makes me think of the 1989 World Series earthquake. I actually wore the hat today. And so this is, you know, something that we both lived through.
Yeah.
Right? You were what, in San Francisco at the time?
I was in San Francisco.
You didn't come to South City yet. We didn't get to meet yet.
No.
So we're both 8 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so for me, I was actually, you know what, John, play the clip and we'll show them where I was. So this is the Bay Bridge series, the Giants versus the A's. Of course you wore the A's hat today,
Of course
bro.
I did. This park is no longer there, by the way. They tore it down.
They tore it down. We used to street race behind it, though. Hey, right over his right. Hey, pause that. Oh.
Candy Maldonado. Wow. That's crazy.
Right over his right shoulder is where I was sitting with my dad.
Was that Ricky?
Oh. So that's when the earthquake hit. Yeah, so you could pause this. So I was sitting with my dad. I got to miss school because my dad got World Series tickets, and we're sitting in the bleachers in right field. It was right over the guy's shoulder that was speaking is where we're sitting. And I remember it was so loud there because the Giants had lost the first 2 games in the series. So we were being swept by the A's, right? And the A's, I don't know if you remember back then, but their team they were good.
Shout out Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, exactly.
The GOAT.
They were really good. So, so when it started shaking, everybody was so loud, and then it started shaking, and there was like a moment of silence where people were like, what? And then after it stopped, everybody started saying, shake this place. And others were saying, we will rock you. We will rock you. Yeah. They just started chanting. And you know, everybody shook, right? We're on the bleachers. All of a sudden, people are like stomping. Boom, boom. And my dad.
What a reaction.
He was scared.
Hell
like,
yeah.
This shit, something's
like,
gonna
don't you
happen
guys know
here.
what's going on right
Yeah.
now? Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Zenergy, an exquisite energy supplement designed to nourish both body and mind. Zenergy combines the tranquil, stress-relieving benefits of kava with the focused, energizing properties of kratom extract. This refined fusion provides a smooth, sustained energy that calms the mind while sharpening your focus. Zenergy offers an unparalleled experience of clarity and poise. If you're interested in this product, go on drinkzenergy.com. That's drinkxnergy energy.com. Thank you again, Zenergy. We appreciate you guys.
So everybody's going crazy. They're all pumped up for the game. The earthquake happens. They say over the loudspeaker, we may ask you to come onto the field. I'm like, Dad, let's go on the field. Let's go on the field.
He's like, we getting up out of here.
He literally grabbed me by the shirt, pulled me, and we started, trekking out of there. Now on the screen here, you see there's like, this is a little map quest. The B is Candlestick Park, right? And A is El Camino High School. So I lived one block from El Camino High School where both Nathan and I went to high school. And so it's essentially, it says 7 miles from there to there. Well, getting out of the stadium and to my house, it took us like 5 hours.
Oh,
right?
man.
And I remember we got back and, you know, everybody's still in shock, right? Everybody, all the lights are out on the street. In fact, my mom started like putting together, like we had all the camping gear, you know, my dad hunted and fished, camped and all that. So started putting out and making chili for the whole block. So next thing you know, they got the radio. You remember when they used to have radios? They had the radio out there and everybody's sitting around in the camping chairs eating chili. People from the block coming up and down, you know, making sure everybody's okay, you know, handing out little candles because, you know, lights are out, right? And then, John, could you play this next clip that we have here?
Now, when the earthquake struck, there was some minor panicking down below in some of the mezzanine sections, but just about all of the folks were able to make their way out of the ballpark without any injuries.
Well, you see what's happening.
Make their way out as well, escorting their families to buses. But the main story, as Marlo just pointed out, was in the rest of the Bay Area. In the East Bay, it was on the Nimitz Freeway.
That's
the
right.
80 interchange, the Cypress interchange, not far from the Oakland Coliseum, where the interchange collapsed. Now, the latest figures we have
literally cars
is
squashed
that
under
at least 100 people died in that mishap. Earlier, we had reports of that figure going up to about 200.
Yep.
They're still not exactly sure how many people were injured. At least 100 fatalities, at least 400 injuries as a result of that terrible tragedy in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. The Nimitz Freeway is closed down. Along with the Nimitz, of course, also the Oakland-San Francisco Bay Bridge.
The Bay Bridge.
I forgot the Nimitz was even a thing.
Yeah, so during the World Series, that is the only time that the San Francisco Giants got to the World Series against the Oakland A's. In the middle is the Bay Bridge.
And that gets shaken, and the upper deck
collapsed to the bottom deck.
It's a funny thing. So I was there in the city. I was in San Francisco at our house on 22nd and Bryant. We're sitting on the stairs in front of the house. I was sitting at the bottom of the stairs. My dad was at the top. You know, mostly every day, that's kind of what we did after school. It was like, you know, after we play or whatever, do our homework, we sit outside and eat ice cream, and Dad drinks a beer. Well, my brother had gone downstairs to do something, and we were sitting there on the stairs. And when it first happened, my brother was coming up the stairs, and my dad said, "Damn, bro, you gaining a little weight there?"
Because it was shaking.
He started to feel the little shake.
Yeah.
And then it went from a little shake to a really big shake.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember seeing the road wave like water.
Yep. Other people told me that.
Like water, man. And the power lines were just going crazy. And a piece actually broke off of our house.
Oh, really?
It fell down. Yeah, like
wow.
nothing crazy, like not even a whole 2x4, but like a trim piece.
Yeah.
You know, but still, it was like, damn.
Something.
And I remember that after that happened, I was with a Green Beret.
Yeah. You were probably the safest person.
There was no panic. There was none of that. Dad got his arsenal right first things first. And then he had a TV.
Oh, one of those little ones, yeah.
The little TV that's about a 7-inch screen, 6-inch screen, and he plugged it in. So my dad had a 1976 Cadillac Coupe de Ville that he got from a job that he did. And he plugged it into the cigarette lighter in the Cadillac.
Oh, yeah.
Then we had the news. Then we found out.
What happened?
They're like, the Bay Bridge just collapsed. And we were like, bro, we didn't know. We thought the whole Bay Bridge fell. We didn't know what was going on. And, so Dad cooked spaghetti and hot dogs for the whole block.
Yeah, so same thing was going on at your crib.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That definitely was a time that it brought everybody closer together to realize we're all in this together.
Yeah, man. We all we got, man.
Yeah. That sentiment is what I believe we need to do today in our world now is bring everybody together because we are all in it together.
It's unfortunate, though, that when we're doing good, we don't feel like we need anybody. And some of us don't think about the people who may need us. And
or actually who helped you to get to you doing good.
Or that.
People all of a sudden forget how they actually got there and what it took to get there.
Yeah, you can't get anywhere in life without people.
We're all a part of it.
You know, like you could be an introvert. You could be someone that's like, not into, having a whole bunch of conversation, being around a whole bunch of people. But look, if you want to do anything outside of just surviving, if you would like to thrive in life, and live in a great sustainable way, you're gonna need some people around you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wow, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. Hey, John, can we do the most extreme weather change now? I think here it is. Okay, so this is, you were talking a little bit earlier, Nathan, about the craziest temperature change in literally one day.
Yeah, it was in I believe it was in Browning, Montana, which is actually the Blackfeet Reservation.
Yeah.
So when they colonized and did all that stuff up there, so the Blackfeet and the Seminoles, if I'm not mistaken, are the only two tribes that didn't lose. And they didn't quit, so they got treaties with the government, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha.
But they pushed the Blackfeet all the way up there into the corner of Montana, and the Blackfeet actually share the reservation with another tribe that's like Blackfeet, kind of Blackfeet, but they're in Canada.
Okay.
So the Blackfeet Reservation goes through Canada, and I'm not certain of the exact figures, but it was literally 100 degrees in a 24-hour period. So this has happened before on Earth.
Yeah, that they went from, it says, negative 49 degrees Fahrenheit to 56 degrees. Is that what it was?
That's what it was. And I think it might have been broken since. I'm not positive on that, but this is extreme, but it is possible.
And to have temperature changes.
Yeah, and I'm 100% certain that the people that were there at that point in time thought the world was coming to an end.
Oh, when
I'm sure that this is not something that happened frequently. It's not something that ever happens, but when it does, this is possible. So looking at different isolated incidents in weather, I don't know if that's the best gauge to determine whether or not it has to do with climate change.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You know what I mean?
But that's how we're currently doing it.
I don't know that. That's a question I'm asking. Like, I don't know that. I'm just wondering.
So growing up in the city, right? Mm-hmm. We learned that if it's 85 degrees out and you're hot as hell, you still bring your big jacket, right? Mm-hmm. You still bring a sweatshirt.
Yeah, San Francisco. Yeah, so San Francisco. It was Mark Twain, right? That said. The coldest winter that he ever spent was a summer in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it's like that. Like, it's so random, the weather over there, man. It could change at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
So.
And so we learned growing up, no matter where you went, you always had a hoodie. A lot of times you had a hoodie and a parka, right?
Yeah.
And you were comfortable even if it was hot, wearing that stuff because, well, in the next hour, all of a sudden, that fog might just come in and then you're colder than if you were sitting in Lake Tahoe.
That's right.
Because it goes straight through your bones.
Yeah, I remember walking to school, like being a crazy kid walking to school with no shirt on in the fog, going to sunshine.
Yeah.
And it was just like...
Yeah, you're insane. Yeah. All right, so moving on here. We got like a huge bust. Fentanyl bust.
The activities that are going on right now seem to be the drug activities in the country and all over the world seem to be at an uptick at this time. I don't know if this, usually when, I don't know if it is at an uptick because from what I know, during election times, a lot more of these busts occur because it looks good for politics.
I guess that's right, huh?
Yeah, I forgot about that. So, but recently there has been some really big occurrences that have happened.
Let's play the first one there, Joe.
Look at this. New images out of Mexico tonight of a massive drug bust, a massive one. Take a look. Authorities say they confiscated 3 tons of methamphetamine.
That's a lot, bro.
And more than 530,000 fentanyl pills. Those are the ones, the blue ones that you see right there. No word tonight.
So those weren't Viagra, bro.
No, dog. Not that little blue pill.
Bust.
Imagine that. Imagine that getting in your hands and you thinking that you're taking a Viagra.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're methed out.
Or you're out of there.
Yeah. So that was 6,000 pounds
of meth. That's hella meth.
Well, of fentanyl.
No.
It was 530,000 pills.
Fentanyl pills. So you got it reversed. So it was 3 tons. Or how much meth was it? What was the number?
Yeah, I thought the number was 530,000 pills of meth and then 6,000 pounds or 3 tons.
So let me just put you on.
Yeah.
Because I know you don't know. Meth isn't sold in pills.
Yeah, but that's how they describe it.
No, I think you got it. That's what I'm trying to say. I think you got it.
Oh.
I think you got it backwards. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
yeah, they had a ton of meth, or better. They had a ton of meth. They had a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happens to them over there. What's going to happen to those people? I can tell you what would happen to them over here.
Well, what would happen here?
Get into some trouble, have to do some federal time more than likely, because that's a substantial quantity of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. With what's going on in politics right now, and the line that's being pushed with the drugs and the cartels and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if they might just hand them over to us.
I don't know.
You never know.
I do my best not to get political, but seeing all those drugs, that's scary because all those drugs are definitely trying to come over here.
Look, I don't want to be political either, but the fact of the matter is this has a huge impact in our country and the people in our country.
Yeah.
So, whether we want to or not, it's tied in. It's all tied into it.
It's all tied in.
Something needs to be done about it, and the people that need to be held accountable to make something get done about it are politicians.
Yeah, so a question that I have that you might be able to shed some light on is when you got 6,000 pounds of something that is illegal and you're bringing it over, it's definitely coming over in a tractor trailer or something like that,
bro,
right?
They had a pickup truck, bro.
With 6,000 pounds in the back of a pickup truck?
Listen.
That doesn't make sense to me. And then the big question is this. When you have that much weight that you're bringing over, what, you just drive it over like a normal person coming over the thing?
Nah.
Or do they have certain setup to how...
Let me just tell you what my opinion is of this matter. I believe that I don't think those guys got caught. I think they got fed.
Yeah.
I think they were a distraction to something much bigger that came over because usually when you're even dealing with those types of quantities, that's a lot.
Yeah.
With those types of quantities, most of the time, unless you have some sort of tunnel or something of that nature, you have to have some type of customs agents that are in line with what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're going to get caught. There's no paying your way out of one of those situations.
So what you're saying is potentially.
Yeah.
They got caught for 3 tons.
Did you see the truck they were driving?
Yeah, but they didn't catch the 30,000 pounds.
They wanted those people to get caught, brother.
Yeah. Okay. So everything's a setup. Everything is like, well, we're gonna sacrifice this because the overall good. We're gonna get all this, and we're continuing our business.
Usually, people that can afford
to lose that,
to sell that quantity, though,
yeah,
they're not gonna risk it all and do it in a stupid way like that. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So
let's talk about the largest cocaine seizure in the Dominican Republic. Look at this picture, man. Each one of those it looks like 5-6 kilos. Each one of those bags.
It's a lot of work.
This picture goes too big to have all the bags on the screen.
A lot of work.
Yeah. So they say that the authorities in the Dominican Republic say cocaine discovered in the country's largest ever seizure was headed to Europe, not headed to the United States.
A lot more money over there.
It was hidden in a banana shipment. They found 9,500 kilos. So it was at the drug port in Santo Domingo.
Yeah,
cocaine was hidden in 320 bags, which is like the bags like you saw there, with an estimated street value of $250 million. Yeah, so they say at least 10 people are linked to the port, are under investigation, with early investigation showing the bananas had arrived from Guatemala, according to the National Drug Control Directorate.
Damn. So again, when you can sell a whole lot like this, like you're gonna come up with a sophisticated way to move it. In my opinion on this one, moving that quantity in a shipment of bananas is crazy.
It's not that sophisticated, is what you're saying.
Because of the quantity of it. Like, how much of it can you hide?
Well,
in
can
those
you
bananas?
smell
Like,
if a dog shows up, are they gonna smell bananas or are they gonna smell cocaine?
I think you or me would have smelled cocaine if we were anywhere near that stuff.
Yeah, I try not to smell cocaine, bro.
Me either, but I know what it smells like.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
There we go. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Zenergy, an exquisite energy supplement designed to nourish both body and mind. Zenergy combines the tranquil, stress-relieving benefits of kava with the focused, energizing properties of kratom extract. This refined fusion provides a smooth, sustained energy that calms the mind while sharpening your focus. Zenergy offers an unparalleled experience of clarity and poise. Go to drinkzenergy.com, drinkxnergy.com. So moving on here, this is kind of a thing. Law enforcement officials are closely monitoring Fabio Ochoa Vasquez as he returns to Colombia. Why don't you play this clip?
And tonight, two infamous cartel kingpins facing very different realities right now. One, a Colombian drug lord and key operator of the Medellin cocaine cartel, now released from a U.S. prison after a quarter-century behind bars. And the other, the subject of a manhunt by the federal government,
El
now
Mencho.
with a $15 million reward for his capture. News Nation correspondent Jorge Ventura joining us live from San Antonio with the latest on both of these cases. Jorge.
Well, Natasha, first, the U.S. government now increasing the reward for any information leading up to the arrest of cartel kingpin El Mencho up to $15 million from the original $10 million. El Mencho is known for transforming the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, or the CJNG, into the world's most violent and powerful cartels in Mexico. Now,
so he might have been the head of the other clip. Same stuff.
Trafficking. Its recent push into fentanyl smuggling has made it a top target of U.S. and Mexican authorities. The latest developments also follow the recent arrest of El Mencho's son-in-law, Christian Gutierrez Ochoa, in Riverside, California. We reported that here on News Nation. Gutierrez Ochoa.
So these guys are related.
Capture, even faking his own death in Mexico, which threw authorities off. He actually fled with a fake identification into the U.S. illegally and was leading a luxurious lifestyle in California. Now, authorities say that he played a critical role in CJNG's international operations, overseeing massive drug shipments and laundering millions of dollars in cartel profits. His arrest is being called a major blow to the cartel, but El Mencho, the mastermind behind it all, still remains on the run in Mexico. Meanwhile, Fabio Ochoa Vasquez, a former Medellin cartel leader, has been released from an American prison after serving 25 years of a 30-year sentence. Ochoa was at the heart of the cocaine boom in the 1980s, fueling the U.S. drug epidemic from his Miami operations. Ochoa's empire
was Pablo Escobar's partner, right?
Deadly. Authorities linked him to over 40 tons of cocaine shipments, while his Miami base became a central hub for the Medellin cartel's operation.
Yeah, he was one of the main characters in Cocaine Cowboys.
Also indicted for his alleged role in the murder of DA informant Barry Seal, a chilling reminder of how far cartel leaders often go to protect their operations. Ochoa is expected to return to Colombia with vast resources. Natasha.
Jorge Ventura live in San Antonio.
Yeah. So
thank you.
He murdered Barry Seal. If any of you guys have watched the movie American Made,
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it has Tom Cruise in it. And it's a story of this guy was a pilot. And he was actually a pilot that was kind of struggling being a pilot. So what he did was he was flying to Colombia. He would he got some cigars, right? And he was bringing back the cigars. Maybe it wasn't Colombia. Maybe it was
Cubans.
Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he brought back some Cubans, right? And then as he left the plane, he ends up having a CIA agent show up and saying, hey, you know, what's up? And, you know, of course, Barry Seal, or Tom Cruise in this case, he was like, oh, well, you know, try not to, you know. And then he gets offered an opportunity.
Yeah.
And then the movie goes on that this opportunity literally meant he owned his own airport and was bringing in just massive amounts of cocaine.
Multi-ton quantities.
Yeah. Dropping them out of the airplane and then picking them up and having this whole operation going on that literally led to what was in Cuba, where they had the fight with the guerrillas, and they got the whole army going.
The Che Guevara stuff?
Maybe. I forget. So anyways, this movie, this Ochoa, he was the one that murdered him. And so it was kind of crazy. The other thing that I see that's like, the news is putting these two people together. They're basically saying, we're releasing Fabio Ochoa Vasquez, but El Mencho, we're putting a $15 million reward on his head.
Yeah, I'm like at a loss for words right now, though. I'm still kind of stuck on the relative of his that got caught in Los Angeles County somewhere. Like, look, man, do they not like Mexicans in Saudi Arabia or like these non-extradition countries? Why, when you have all the money in the world, would you put yourself in the clutches of the people that you know are looking for you and your people? Why would you, like, what, because you have a fake ID, because you have money, you think you're safe? Like, dude, like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like what is in America that made him say, I'm going to risk it all and not go somewhere else where I would be okay? Like, I don't understand.
Well, what I would say is, you're not them. You don't have the resources they do, nor the relationships that they have, in order to, maybe this is literally the best place for them to be for obvious reasons.
Or the only place, right?
Or the only place, right? It's also based on all these...
That's why I asked the question, though, because like putting myself
in their
shoes, it's like self-preservation instinct number one, like not getting caught. Like, we can't do any of this other stuff unless we're free.
Yeah. However, what if all this stuff is actually tied together, where they actually work together with the government,
Of course they do.
You know, so if that's actually happening, then you're not feeling like you're putting yourself, you're just continuing your business operations.
So basically, his handlers went bad on him, essentially, or something happened like that, or he got caught, one of the two.
Yeah, well, how do you get caught? You're doing something that normally is okay, that all of a sudden they say, now's the time we're going to get them. So, and I don't know much about this. I learned most of my experience
They looking for all them dudes. Let me tell you.
From watching movies.
All them dudes affiliated with that guy, they looking for all them all the time. That don't stop.
Yeah,
just so
that's
you know,
what I'm
like,
saying.
yeah. So, like, again, like, they know that. Like, you just putting yourself into the clutches, essentially, by coming over here.
Yeah, well, someone has to be the representative over here.
They ain't got family over here?
I'm sure they got family everywhere. You know, I'm sure it seems like every person they talked about on here had the Ochoa last name.
That guy seemed like seemed like he might be valuable.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so this next story that we're going to talk about is UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell. This guy's extremely outspoken, man. And I mean, when I say extremely outspoken, he's extremely outspoken. He fights for Christ, 100%. I support Bryce Mitchell. A lot of stuff that he's talking about, he's, bringing awareness to many topics. And he's using his platform to do it. And yeah, let's check out what he has to say here about Mr. Elon Musk.
At 5 feet 10 inches tall, this mixed martial artist also weighed in 146 pounds. In 17 fights, his record fit.
Yeah, so on this clip, it says that he calls Elon Musk the mark of the beast. And he links Elon Musk's brain chip to technology to biblical prophecy.
Neuralink, right?
Yeah, Neuralink.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of stuff that this kid is standing up and being outspoken about, again, using his platform. He's always shouting freedom, you know, always saying all glory be to Christ. And he's somebody that I would like maybe one day to do an interview with. He's a very interesting young man. He seems like he's very genuine-hearted person.
Yeah, it says in this article that they call him Thug Nasty. Is that his nickname?
Yeah.
Thug Nasty. Gained recognition for his elite grappling, becoming only the second fighter to execute a twister submission inside the octagon. However, his recent popularity stems from more than just his skills, from carrying a Bible and shouting freedom, like Braveheart, during his UFC introductions, to sharing his belief that Earth is flat. He captured attention for his eccentricities as well, right? So, you know, this guy to me, I don't know who this guy is. I've never seen him before, but I don't follow the UFC like you do, right? Yeah. But he has another quote: communism, like the world, has never seen Mitchell rip Musk like this, right? Yeah, he's got a podcast where he went on this podcast that is Michael Bisping, who I do know who he is. He's a famous UFC fighter. He went on the Believe You Me podcast, and he just slammed Elon Musk's Neuralink and the technology that he has, right? I don't know myself.
I'm against Neuralink. I'm sorry. I'm against Neuralink. I feel like I myself believe in God. I believe God makes no mistakes. Whether we understand what he's doing or not is another story. I believe would God have wanted us to have more function, he would have unlocked more of a percentage of the brains that we already have, that we're only using a very small portion of.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, so the other side to that is, well, if God was perfect in his way and you don't believe in some of that, then, you know, if somebody was born not being able to see, but they could get new eyes, Is that okay?
I don't know what's okay or what's not okay. My opinion, restoring, giving someone sight that has never had sight versus restoring sight on someone that did have sight. Like, I don't know. You know, I might feel differently about all of these things. So I couldn't tell you, like, I don't know, man.
It's definitely thought-provoking.
So, like, say, like, people, like, would Stevie Wonder have been as musically talented if he was not born blind?
I would say no.
You know, I don't know. But that's, again, like, you know, we can have all these different variables and play these different games to judge what's what. But at the end of the day, you know, my opinion is just my opinion on that matter.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's something that is helping people that need help, then I'm for it.
Yeah.
But if people are already okay and functional and like can get their way through life just fine and they're doing this thing in addition to the greatness that God already gave them, I'm like against it. That's just me.
So you're against breast implants?
100%.
Okay. How about butt implants?
Yeah,
I mean, you might be an ass man.
I might be whatever, but I'd rather have a natural any one of them.
Yeah,
a small,
okay.
I'd rather have a small natural any one of them than a blowed up fake any of them. That's just me personally. I love myself a natural woman.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. So back to what Mitchell was saying, he said, and I quote, Elon Musk is a liar. He's trying to destroy humanity, and anybody that ever trusted him, they've been deceived. This is the prime example of how evil he is. He's actually selling microchips that go into people's heads, acting like he's some damn doctor. Brother, that's the mark of the beast, Mitchell exclaimed when Bisbing said he wanted a Neuralink chip. That chip is a mark of the beast. That is the type of technology that the Antichrist is going to put in people. When you start getting these chips in the head, they're going to monitor everything you buy, everything you sell. Basically, it's going to be communism like the world has never seen.
I feel like the mark of the beast is $1.
Oh, capitalism?
Just, currency.
Currency?
Like when we went outside of just regular bartering and like I'll give you what you need and you give me what I need and we're good. When we went outside of that and we started getting too crazy.
From bartering to we're going to have this represent.
How much more money can I make off of this same thing?
Yeah.
Next time, like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you may have a point there. Let's move on to the next thing here. And this is a pretty famous person that nobody knows about, right? Has anybody heard of Stanley Meyer?
Yeah, so Stanley Meyer, he was an inventor that invented technology that I don't remember the exact quantity, but he could drive a car essentially from one side of the country to the other on like 30 gallons of water or something like this. Water, like tap water, like not nitrogen. I mean, not, what do you call it? Hydrogen.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking water, good old H2O. And so Stanley Meyer invented this, and he was coming to a place that he was getting recognition for it, and he was going into contract with some people, and he was at dinner signing this contract.
Yeah.
And he literally grabbed his stomach or grabbed his chest and said, "They poisoned me."
Yeah.
And he got up from the table and fell dead.
Yeah. Yeah, so the big question is, and you see on the screen here, did Stanley Meyer die because he knew how to turn water into fuel? And, obviously in that story you just said about how he died, he said he was poisoned. And, looking at, what he was able to do, turning water into fuel, well, this car here was literally water powered, right?
Jesus Christ and Lord, water powered.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so why would anybody...
Jesus is Lord, water powered.
Why would somebody not want water to take the place of
let's
fuel?
Just cut to it. If it wasn't the government that killed Mr. Myers, Why have we not seen anything of this technology yet? And this was in 1980 what?
Yes, so I wouldn't even go so far as saying the government. I would say that there's lots of entities that are involved in oil, right? And oil itself, you know, there's huge economies that are all based on this oil.
But all these places where these companies that are American, right, are getting oil from, like we have to, like the country has to have some type of stance over there. Like you can't be a citizen. I don't care how much money you have. You can't just be a citizen and go to Saudi Arabia and start buying oil.
No, understood.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is,
government's involved in some way.
Oh yeah, man. Whether like let's not think that there's not people sitting there. We know what's happening on the level of like a lobbyist. Like there's way higher ups that's getting a lot more money for like enabling these people, these petroleum people. They're like slapping down the environmental people for them. They're doing this favor, doing that favor. Like yeah, they're all in cahoots, man.
Oh yeah, it's all connected for sure. So you're more mechanical than I am. Can you look at this and tell me what it does?
Well, I can't. No, I cannot. I am mechanically inclined, very much so, but I do not have any knowledge of this type of technology.
So essentially what I see is that it has all these different coils, a charging choke, and then it goes into some kind of like piston.
I don't understand what the pulsing core is. The pulsing core seems to be what's making it all happen. You know, like when we were kids and we made those little motors and we wrapped the copper wire around the thing and stuff like that.
With the batteries.
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, it's badass, man. And,
yeah,
it sucks. It sucks that we do not have this technology available to us. I mean, maybe we do. Maybe we do.
Well,
and they watered it down. Like I know Toyota makes the Mirai, which is a hydrogen-powered vehicle.
Yeah.
And there's some other ones out there, but there's nothing like this.
Mean, the closest thing to this is in Back to the Future, where you put your old garbage and banana peels and stuff like that into the
flux capacitor.
Into the flux capacitor.
Yeah,
bro.
if you don't have a flux capacitor.
So that's what I want. If
You're not going anywhere.
any one of our listeners has, a line on a flux capacitor, I definitely
even care.
Want one of
Look,
them.
I'll take a used flux capacitor.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's used, new, any of the above. I just want one.
Yeah.
It don't even have to work. I'll fix it myself.
Yeah. Just send us the flux capacitor. Yeah. We'll get that moving.
Word.
So next. So I was talking to you the other night and saying how I just started watching the Jamie Foxx Netflix show, right? And here's Jamie Foxx right here. And so he dropped his Netflix special. Watching it, man, he was very emotional. I would say it wasn't very funny. There was moments that I laughed. I do, as a whole, enjoy Jamie Foxx's career and some of the things that he's done. He used it as an opportunity to kind of like talk bad about Diddy. And the day after all this launched, he's sitting there at a restaurant. It's his birthday. And someone throws a glass and it hits him in the mouth.
Smacked him in the face with a glass.
Yep. Kind of a fight starts ensuing where Jamie Foxx is the one trying to like level it down. Smart. But in the end, he had to go get stitches where, it says that he's fine, he's recovering, but he, in the article it said, was this Diddy's thugs?
Listen, man, I don't know what they got going on, man. Jamie Foxx. Man, Jamie Foxx.
Do you know Jamie Foxx?
Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Zenergy, an exquisite energy supplement designed to nourish both body and mind. Zenergy combines the tranquil, stress-relieving benefits of kava with the focused, energizing properties of kratom extract. This refined fusion provides a smooth, sustained energy that calms the mind while sharpening your focus. Zenergy offers an unparalleled experience of clarity and poise. If you're interested in this product, go on drinkzenergy.com. That's drinkxnergy energy.com. Thank you again, Zenergy. We appreciate you guys. I don't know Jamie Foxx. I've met him more than once. And he was associated with somebody that I bodyguarded for a very long time. And this whole thing that's happening with Diddy right now, all I see is Jamie Foxx covering his tracks.
Oh.
Because during the filming of Miami Vice was this time period that I met him when I was bodyguarding this one guy there. And he was friends with him, very close with him. And the guy that I worked for wanted to do business with Diddy.
Okay.
Jamie and Diddy were like this. They were rocking heavy. So all that freak off party stuff, all that stuff is real.
But that Diddy did.
I've never been to one, but I know people personally, like I can call right now, that have been in those parties. And they've told me about those things that they saw in those parties. And a lot of those things are the things that are being said.
Really?
Yeah. And Jamie Foxx was one of those people that was very tied up in that. And if he wasn't, you may ask, how would he have a comparison to be able to tell Diddy something like, I could throw a better party for $400 than you can for $1 million, unless you...
I saw that on the Rogan show. He literally
unless you're
said
familiar,
that, yeah.
though. You got to be familiar
with what it means to throw $1 million party, basically.
No. What he's trying to say is, I can accomplish the same things in a party
that takes you $1 million for $400 and some fried chicken. He said, because I remember he's like, sodas, fried chicken, couple bottles of alcohol, $400, we're good.
You know, there's this domino effect of things with Diddy, starting with the Ciroc lawsuit that got smacked down because of the exposure of the Cassie Ventura settlement and video. And Jamie Foxx is trying to cover his tail because there's going to be some things that come out. Another name that is going to come out, poor guy right now because of what he's going through, but Bruce Willis is a very good close friend of Diddy that I got to,
really?
Yeah, I got to see them together a lot.
You know, before we go down that road, you just said that Jamie Foxx is really tied up, right? And my comment to you after I watched the Netflix Jamie Foxx thing was he looked guilty. He looked like someone that was so thankful
Jamie Foxx invited the guy that I used to work for to one of those Diddy parties.
Okay. Wow.
We already, you know, I'm, at the time I was one of the top independent bodyguards that there was in the country.
Yeah.
And I was in Miami, and the guy that I worked for was from the Caribbean. And if nobody knows about this, in the Caribbean, most of the people are very homophobic in the Caribbean. They believe that homosexuality did not exist in the Caribbean until colonization came to the Caribbean. That's what they believe. And it's a very interesting theory. But anyway, we knew of this, and he got the invite. And he was like, there's no way that I'm going to one of those parties.
Yeah. Because he already knew what they were about, it sounds like.
Yeah, dude.
It sounds like everybody kind of knew what they were about.
A lot of people knew what they were about. And there's a lot of more stuff that we'll talk about at a later time about Diddy and about the impact that he had on a lot of people that you guys are not even hearing about, that nobody even is acknowledging exist.
Yeah, so let me just kind of sum this up a little bit for our viewers and for myself, right? It sounds like, Nathan, Like you have some personal experiences based on your work that you were around Diddy, you know, you just said Jamie Foxx. I know of J-Lo, right? And a bunch of these people that were in that circle, right? And it sounds like to me like this may be like the first time that you're kind of going a little bit public.
I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of the lies, man. I'm tired of watching this show. I'm tired of these pictures being painted and the illusions that these people have, that people think so highly of these people when in actuality they're just like us and not the best of us.
Oh.
And
it sounds like you got some receipts.
Yeah, I have something that I brought today that I would like to share with the people to show them that
you're real.
Not only am I real, but this is not just a podcast.
Yeah.
That, you know, this is our second time recording.
Yeah.
And that we're warming up, we're learning, we're getting into the swing of things, but also we're gonna start talking about this stuff. And we're gonna show you guys some stuff and know that like we would like to talk about this. Look, I'm dying to talk about this stuff. I've been waiting so long to talk about this stuff and a lot more than this. But I need the help of the people. We need some subscribers, a little bit more. We need to get to a certain place where I feel like that there's going to be some ears hearing and some eyes seeing, so I don't feel like I'm just talking to my homeboy in front of a camera.
Yeah.
But if you would like, here's the newspaper article from the source.
Yeah, so
a very credible source, by the way.
Yeah, so this was in January 14th in 2004 from Talk of Our Town, the Miami Herald. A Jennifer Lopez bodyguard is under investigation for robbery after allegedly grabbing the memory card from the camera of a South Beach nightclub patron he's suspected of taking J-Lo's photo. J-Lo is not camera shy. She seems she was spotted chatting with ex-beau Sean P. Diddy Combs. Both Lopez, 33, and Combs, 34, have homes in Miami Beach. Lopez is engaged to actor Ben Affleck, 31 years old. Happened at 4:50 a.m. Monday at Opium Gardens Club Privé, 136 Collins Avenue, when a member of Lopez's entourage spotted a flash go off. The security guards walked over to the table where Jacqueline Thomas Bishop celebrated her 24th birthday with boyfriend Pavel Vukovich, 22. From the Miami police report, the bodyguard asked if they had photographed Miss Lopez. They stated no. The bodyguard then snatched Bishop's camera from her hands. Bodyguard then removed the memory card from the digital camera. He kept the chip and threw the camera back. Sergeant Alex Carullo interviewed bodyguard Nathan Butts that's you, by phone, who acknowledged possession of the memory card but refused to return it. So this was you. So were you J-Lo's bodyguard?
Yeah.
Whoa. There's another one that shows the similar stuff. This news story from Miami Channel 7 tells Jacqueline Thomas Bishop, who was celebrating her 24th birthday at an expensive Miami night spot. She and her boyfriend were taking snaps of one another when they were approached by a bodyguard of Jennifer Lopez, who was also at the same club that night. He snatched away their digital camera, yanked the memory card, and refused to return it, claiming that Miss Lopez owns photographs of Miss Lopez and apparently all photographs near Miss Lopez. The bodyguard, Nathan Butts, has still not returned the memory card in this report or this one, which does say authorities are charging J-Lo's bodyguard with a third-degree robbery. Did he actually get charged? Was the memory card of Jacqueline Bishop's vacation returned. Whoa, bro. So the officer called you. When this was 4:50 at night, it said.
A.M. Yeah, in the morning.
In the morning.
Yeah.
4:50 in the morning.
Yeah.
So then what happened? Is all that true?
I snatched a camera.
Okay.
But the picture that's being painted in the story is not like that. That's not how it happened.
Oh.
At all. Similar, but not. Just the details are not there. And there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to that situation. In that time period, there was a lot more stuff happening that I will get into at a later date. But we're going to talk about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm gathering, Nate, I could just tell your body posture. I feel your energy. I feel that this is like kind of, it's like, in an essence, like poking at you.
These people did me bad after this, man. They did me dirty. Yeah, they did me
it seems
nasty.
like you're getting worked up.
And I never have been treated like they treated me. I was an independent bodyguard for 10 years. I never had to look for a job in 10 years, all word of mouth.
Yeah.
Everybody that I ever worked for, like, when I was young, I got in trouble. Every single person I worked for, I shared with them my background, and I gave them the chance to opt out.
Yeah.
No one ever did.
Yeah.
When this happened, they did me dirty.
Wow. So for our listeners, what I'd say is this is proof, these are receipts that Nathan here was in fact J-Lo's bodyguard at that time. It also proves to you that he is connected through this celebrity community around J-Lo, Diddy, Jamie Foxx, all these types of people.
Yeah, one of my best friends was Diddy's. So when Diddy first moved to Miami, he didn't have nobody in Miami. He only had one man, and that was one of my best friends.
Wow.
That there was 3 of us. One of them is known for being with Diddy, and he's known for a lot of other street stuff too. The other one is currently doing 27 years in prison for human trafficking.
Oh, whoa!
This was us though. This was our group though.
Whoa.
Yeah, and yeah, he's actually agreed to come on as a guest as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's actually agreed to come on. That's gonna be good. It's gonna be big.
We could talk about that, but what I'm trying to just make sure we solidify for our listeners is that there's gonna be some content that comes out that you will not see this anywhere else but here. In fact, you will probably see it other places, but you'll see it here first, real live.
You'll never hear the story told from this perspective, and it's not the only one. There's a lot, because again, I did this for 10 years, and all of my clients were somebodies, like all known people. Some unknown people that had a lot more money than all of those known people, so it's gonna get very interesting. And yeah. Right now, I'm gonna get up and go to the restroom because I'm about to pee on myself.
Well, just to sign off here, I want to say thank you to Nathan for being vulnerable enough to share some of his past. That it definitely seems that this is sparking something in him. That there's emotional stuff related to this. I could tell it's going to be a serious conversations as we continue going down this road. And I hope for our listeners that you see value in the fact that he's finally coming out to talk about this, and which is one of the most talked about subjects where nobody's seen the perspective of the person who actually was responsible for keeping their security, right? So thanks again for watching. Appreciate you, and we'll check back at you next time. Damn.